It's true. The gods are a sham that people have followed for thousands of years. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we note a rather sharp drop somewhere around here? Full of surprises, aren't you?
I would have brought a torch if you'd asked.
I don't suppose you could make a few bridges the same way, hmm?
Can you do that again? I had something in my eye. I missed most of it.
creature of contradictions, by turns cruel and kind, rational and zealous. You unravel a thread, Watcher, one you have lost and discovered over generations, and following it to its end has only brought you back to the beginning. Of souls, blind and brimming with potential. The answer to Whitaker's question at the beginning of yours. What would you do with them? That is a word for endings, and this is but a crossroads. Even I do not know what you would choose.
We've been lied to. Our whole lives, and many lives before that. And it's led us to put our faith in a pantheon of gods that never deserved it in the first place. I'm surprised to hear you say this. It seems that much harm comes from imposing authority where perhaps none is needed. We've seen the atrocities that members of the Leaden Key have committed without even understanding why or for whom they act. I've also been thinking, there won't be much left of Theos by the time you're done with him, if I know how you operate. That will leave the Leaden Key headless. Perhaps it's best. This is unexpected coming from you. Why keep it going? Then let's face Theos. When this is all over, I'll remember what we've been through. I'll see the...
Are you ready to take the oath? To spread the word of the gods to the lost and heathen? I wouldn't ask this were there any other choice.
Oceanus. They have held off many would-be invaders.
You are ready to give a confession?
I'm ready to hear one from you.
You are far from your post, Inquisitor. What brings you here? That woman sought only to destroy the foundations of peace and civility that my people sacrificed everything to build. The Inquisition was based on the need. We are in a sanctum holy to Utica. There are others like it in service to the other gods. I come here often to pray for her counsel, and in this space I may be assured that she hears me. It has many uses, but its purpose... They are monuments to Utica's greatest servants among my people. I hope to join them myself one day, but... What is a god? A higher power? A rewarder of good deeds and punisher of the wicked? Something men can turn to in their darkest moments when their days seem only like bridges from one tragedy to the next. Our gods are all these things. We are in a sacred place within earshot of the gods themselves. This is not the time. You will return home and you will rest. When you feel you have recovered, you may rejoin us at the trials. The Inquisition is far from over. There are many who continue to spread the lies of the apostate. The Inquisition will not end until we have pronounced judgment on all of them. How did you find it? Hear me, Utica. Your servant calls for aid. Roark 10!
That's not right. He was good at serving his god, I give him that. All those lives. And at the end of them, he was no better than the very people he sought to guide.
Think he got sick of it all after a couple thousand years? Or did Woodica keep him on the leash?
Can't help but feel sorry for him. To live so long without a fresh start, with no chance to wonder...
observed you, Watcher. Admired your taste for blood and the ease with which you have labored at the pleasure of others. That shriveled hag in Hodred House. Those well-bred thieves with their lordly pretensions. The wretched tribesmen playing out their fantasies of grandeur. And then you cower and knelt before the gods themselves, begging one paltry. And now the gods give you orders and commands, even while you set out to fix what they cannot. Yet what have they offered you? The exiled queen is not an ungrateful patron. Finish the work Theos began. Strengthen Woodica with these souls and allow her to become the most powerful of all the gods, with you as her favorite. You say that now, but when you're standing in front of the machine, considering the lifetimes and the powers that await you, we'll see what you
do. Theos, he had hold of your soul from a long time back, seems like. You get what you needed from him? Not many can say that these days. Not in this country where they think the gods have abandoned them. You'll be feeling better soon then. Good. That's real good. Got a lot of people out there thinking they've been abandoned by their gods. There's not much that'll put the fear in you more than that. If it was in my power, and I know it's not, but if it was, I'd send every last one of those souls right back where they were supposed to. And after what you've been through, though, I'm sure you got...
At your command, the ancient device became your instrument, spinning to life with deafening resonance and gathering up the swirling essence like thread on a great spindle. There, in the pale pulsing glow of the machine that set you on this path long ago, you summoned all your strength, focusing on your objective and blocking out all else. With a single concussive blast that rocked the chamber and sent you tumbling to the ground, you freed the souls from their stasis. Exhausted, your consciousness slipping away, your last sight was of the machine, dark and dormant. Then your eyes closed, and sleep welcomed you at long last. After coming to and searching for some time, you discovered the route Theos used to enter Sun and Shadow, and embarked on a long and arduous ascent back to the surface. You emerged in Terra Evron after days of tunneling through the rubble Theos had left behind, and when you stepped into the daylight, you were faced with a different Deerwood than the one you had left. At your direction, the thousands of souls gathered at the machine in Sun and Shadow were disintegrated, their essence scattered to the winds like a lifting fog, never again to find its way into the body of a living being. Though none in Deerwood would ever know for certain what had become of the missing souls, many followers of the Beast of Winter were given visions of a mass exodus to a land of eternal peace, and solemn celebrations were held the following day among his faithful. The last hollow birth in Deerwood was already in the past, and a new peace of mind had come, not just to the lost souls of the Hollowborn, but to all the people of Deerwood. Followers of Bereth have a saying that life is a debt all must pay in death, and their god is known to always collect what is owed. In breaking your word to Bereth, a debt was created. Souls were owed to the cycle, and the agents of the god of inevitability would not be refused. An epidemic of unexplained deaths struck Deerwood in the days that followed the legacy. Most often, the dead would be travelers on the road, known to be a favorite target of Bereth's Pallid Knight, who exacts impossible tolls from those who have journeyed for too long. The elderly, too, seem to pass on in alarming numbers. But just as often, the deaths appeared to strike randomly, and for no reason at all. Those who sensed the involvement of the twinned god dubbed the calamity Bereth's Price, supposing it a payment for the end of Widewind's legacy. Lord Radric's zeal had brought him back to life once, but it would not do so again. Radric's destruction at your hands spelled the end of his suffocating rule over Gilded Vale and the surrounding area. In his absence, the village prospered, becoming a popular destination for new settlers anxious to leave Defiance Bay after the riots. Without a nearby ruler, it also grew more wild, with many settlers moving on as soon as they'd arrived, turned off by lawlessness that was excessive even by Deerwooden standards. Nevertheless, despite the challenges of living there, Gilded Vale had survived, and would continue to survive for the foreseeable future. Following the assassinations of Duke Avar Wolfgren and Lady Webb, Defiance Bay was thrown into political upheaval. In the ensuing weeks, the streets had become the domain of looters and blackguards. Few dared to step outside their own doors alone or unarmed. But order would soon come from an unexpected source. House Dominel, realizing that stability was good for business, brought the city's criminal elements in line through a systematic campaign of fear and intimidation. Capitalizing on the mutual antipathy of the Dozens and the Knights of the Crucible, House Dominel continued to manipulate both groups from the shadows, ensuring their decline and eventually supplanting their authority in Defiance Bay. Defiance Bay was served well by the Dominel's rise. Their subtle political maneuvers and lack of legal oversight allowed them to broker a number of favorable trade deals, rekindling the city's economy. Although their cautious approach in the legacy's aftermath had perhaps denied them broad notoriety outside of Defiance Bay, House Dominel's wealth and influence both continued to grow unchecked. The destruction of the machine atop Ter Noaneth spelled the end of the reanimated corpses in Heritage Hill. Though at first few were willing to venture into the abandoned district, it was soon cleaned out and rebuilt. The district's horrors still fresh in people's minds, it would be some time before it was fully repopulated, but eventually the lure of cheap prime land would all but erase the memory. The Duke's assassination at the apparent hands of an Animancer had caused catastrophic rioting in the streets of Defiance Bay, and few Animancers survived the first day. Many Deerwoodans took the end of Widewind's legacy as a sign, both that the gods did not approve of Animancy, and that the purging of Animancers in Defiance Bay had been enough to satisfy them. In time, their rage would subside, and a number of surviving Animancers remained in and around Defiance Bay, often taking to the wilds to practice their science without repercussions. The town of Deerford had seen the last of the Cult of Scan. Dark rumors about the town's many curses quickly faded, and travelers soon returned. The destruction of the Eyeless and the permanent loss of Abidon's memory emboldened Andra. She considered the knowledge that Kith might have found, both of the origin of the gods and her part in concealing it, and vowed that such a calamity must never come to pass. She churned up a fury in her seas. Underwater mountains rose and fell, and the seabed was swallowed and spat out again by the great maws that divide the continents of Kith. Only a fraction of this chaos reached land, but it was enough to swell rivers and spread earthquakes throughout the Deerwood and Air Glonfath. Coastal towns suffered so that few noticed the damage that had been done to Engwithan ruins.